everybody. Welcome to another episode of Psycho's Platters, always powered by coffee each and every time. I hope everybody is doing very well. I'm trying here, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, I'm trying. Yes, that's right. Peckerwoods unite. Woo. Hey, I want to ask you something. I'm just asking you. Do you watch Jamie Deluxe channel by chance? 'Cause I mean, I'm just curious if you do or not, because I was watching his latest about his mom, and a similar avatar popped up, and I'm going, hmm. Hey Tim, how you doing? Yeah, yeah, because I I could have sworn I saw like one of your responses, Jamie highlighted, and I'm going, hmm. I said this avatar looks pretty familiar. I mean, anybody can make that avatar. I'm not accusing anybody. I just think it's funny if that's the case, you know. Yeah, I think Jamie's got a cool channel. It just prayers out to his mom. They got to go down to Jacksonville, Florida. Big mess down there. Big mess to do. Um, here, it, it it cannot decide whether or not it wants to rain. It has been like this on and off for a few days now. I hope everybody has had a decent Memorial Day weekend. I had Sunday off. I have Sundays and Wednesdays off is my schedule now, and so I wasn't feeling too good Sunday, to be honest with you. I already put in for a GP to my general doctor to try to get an endoscopy put in there. Yeah. Oh, geez, that's crazy. Yeah. Oh well, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? But because I really want to get this stomach thing resolved. I just don't feel good most of the time anyway, you know. I know some of it's stress related, but the rest of it is just a big question mark. Uh that and even though I haven't had it happen since what day was it? I get so screwed up. I think Monday. It was Monday. Something came back that I haven't had in over a year. You ever had a feeling like a cell phone vibrate, but it's right here, like on your ticker? I haven't had that happen in over a year, and I'm going, it just out of the blue, and I'm going, mm-hmm. Well, it hasn't happened since, but I am just going, hmm. What do you think of an AI Aussie avatar? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm kind of nervous about the whole AI thing to begin with. Speaking of avatars, I think that Kiss is still talking about doing that one next year. I have no desire. They're supposedly had they did one new song. Ooh, one for the first time since 2012. I'm just like, whatever. I don't know. It is what it is, gang. It is what it is, I guess. Um. Anyways, so I decided to call this "Holy Smoke!" Dot dot dot. I know we've got a bunch of different things to go music wise here, so to speak. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I really needed to talk about before I went right into it, but I can't think of anything right now. My mind's been kind of like that today. I don't know if it's the weather or whatever have you. But let's start off with our Piglet Presley popper, which of course Piglet is my late girlfriend Carol, um, who got to meet Elvis when she was a little girl. Go figure. Back up in Germany. Yeah, yeah. I thought that was kind of damn cool. And I know Elvis was her favorite, and I know the Beach Boys were another one, and a couple other ones. But I thought this time around we would go to 1966, and and play, which was a single, Fools, Fall in Love. Yeah, see, that's the reason why we do this is to play a lot of different music that nobody's heard before. From 1966, I think it was the Spin Out soundtrack. Now, I don't normally go and I don't know. I ended up getting rid of a bunch of Elvis albums over the years. I've kept the 45s I found, but I think it's just kind of funny that what was it a couple years ago? I oh boy, found not one, not two, but three copies of the 1967 Elvis soundtrack Clam Bake. Yeah, I know, right? In mono, though. It's a very tough album. It's not the toughest mono album. That would be Elvis Greatest Hits Volume 4, which never seen one, never seen a mono copy. But the first time that I found Clam Bake, no damn record, just the mono cover. I'm like, that's great. Another time, yeah, I found another mono Clam Bake, no record, but the bonus photo was in it. Remember when they used to dole that shit out for the Elvis people? Be posters or postcards or stuff. Well, the bonus photo, which if I remember correctly, the bonus photo had to do with the wedding of Elvis and Priscilla. If I remember correctly, that's the bonus photo. And then I found a third copy. This is all within a year. I found a third copy of Elvis's Clam Bake. No bonus photo in mono, totally trampled on by an elephant. I was like, I gave up. But if you have one in decent shape, it can go for a nice amount of money. You can't retire off of it, but you can get a good meal or two. Um, but yeah, so that's what they have with Elvis. Thank you very much. This next pair, well, Fred came up with this a long time ago, and I like it. This next pair, Church You Up. Yes, Church You Up, where we play a pair of different Christian rock stuff. This one here, 1990, with John Schlitt, formerly of Head East. Well, he's kind of sort of still with Head East a little bit. But this is the second era of Petra. From Beyond Power, Seen and Not Heard. I know we've played this before, but it's been a while. And of course, part of this song sounds like another song, a rock song. 90. And they take a little bit from Kiss's Heaven's on Fire. Heaven's on fire. So the story goes, about that song that some of the members of Petra were friends with Bruce Kulick. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But yeah, you'd think there'd be something would have gotten. I hate it when this thing does that. Anyways, Seen and Not Heard from 1990. This next one here, this gentleman, he's been gone for a few years now. I got to see him play in 86. 86. It was a cool show. This one here, though, from 89, former secular 60s rocker from the band People, Mr. Larry Norman. Why should the devil have all the good music?
I want the people to know that it saved my soul, but I still like to listen to the radio. They say rock and roll is wrong, we'll give you one more chance. I say I feel so good, I gotta get up and dance. I know what's right, I know what's wrong, I don't confuse it. All I'm really trying to say is why should the devil have all the good music? And I feel good every day, because Jesus is the rock and he rolled my blues away. They say to cut my hair, they're driving me insane. I grew it out long to make room for my brain. But sometimes people don't understand what's a good boy doing in a rock and roll band. There's nothing wrong with playing blues lips, but if you got a reason, tell me to my face. Why should the devil have all the good music? There's nothing wrong with what I play. Ah, Jesus is the rock and he rolled my blues away. All right. I ain't knocking the hills. Just give me a song that has a beat. I ain't knocking the hymns, just give me a song that moves my feet. I don't like none of those funeral marches. I ain't dead yet. Jesus told the truth and Jesus showed the way. There's one more thing I'd like to say. They nailed him to the cross and they laid him in the ground, but Should've known you can't keep a good man down. I feel good every day. I don't wanna lose it. All I wanna know. Right through the devil, have all the good music. I've been filled, I feel okay. Jesus is the rock and roll my blues. Jesus is the rock and roll my blues. Jesus is the rock and roll my blues away.
That's right, from '89, Larry Norman. Yes, yes, yes. Why should the devil have all the good music? Hope everybody's doing good out there. This must be a slow night tonight, but I do have a nice half dozen. That's right. It's better than nothing. That's what I say. Smash the like button if you care to. Check your subscriptions to make sure that you're subbed to this idiot. We'll keep doing these as long as I'm possibly can. I know I try to do more, but I try to at least push out once a week, minimum. That means that the lightning round is coming next. All points will be tripled. Anywho, so this next song, we're into the section here of stuff in my head. That's right. The Mind Radio. Things, you just never know what tunes you're going to hit, that you think about on a weekly basis. Whether you've heard them just yesterday on the radio or you haven't heard them in a long ass time, but somehow they pop into your head. It's just how it is. Anyways, this next one here from 1972, big hit. It was a big hit, and it still holds up. To me, I think it's nice and lifts you up a little bit. In fact, with this kind of song, you can hold your head up, hold your head high. I always liked that song. Came out when I was 5. Oh, that makes me feel old. I like that song. I like, of course, God Gave Rock and Roll to You. There's a handful of other ones. Believe it or not, it's a strange story. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the gentleman's name. He was on the last Argent album in the 70s. And he went semi-retired on the music. But for a handful of years, he was head custodian at a high school that in the town that I grew up in the 70s. Yeah, go figure. Hey, how you doing? I saw that you were live, but by the time, well, it's all right. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing good. This next one here from 1988. From the Scorpions, which still holds today, this song, Media Overkill.
Watching you, taking all the world under control. They make you long, they make you blue, and they try to eat your soul. Satellites, lights, make the layers red. We can't escape the media home again. Satellites, lights, make the layers red. We can't escape the media home again. Flash, the biggest crash. Don't treat you right. We are at the point of no return. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Over and over and over. Over and over and over. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Over and over and over. Over and over and over. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again. Satellites, let's make the latest spread. We can escape the media home again.
That's right, from 1988, The Scorpions with Media Overkill, which still holds true today in 2026. That's right. You know what, though? I know. Hi, Mick. How you doing? I know that this world is hard. It's not gonna. I'm not. I think I'm being factual, not being negative, but I don't think it's gonna get any easier. You know, we've got to try to lift our spirits up. Things are not always what they seem. Sometimes the only answer, the only possible solution is, well, to keep pushing. 6 off the album REO. Last studio album to have original bass player Greg Philbin be gone the following year. Anywho, up next, first half to the title of this particular episode. Appreciate the handful of you here. Something busy going on today, this Tuesday? I'm just asking. I'm kind of curious here. But, you know, what can you say? But, holy smoke. Yeah, from 90. Yeah, he'd be gone for a few years, Mr. Bruce Dickinson. In fact, he did have somewhat of a solo career. This used to get a radio play up in northern Illinois. And when I was listening to Holy Smoke, this came on into my head. I haven't heard this in a while. Off Balls to Picasso, Tears of a Dragon.
For too long now, there were secrets in my mind. For too long now, there were things I should have said. In the darkness, I was stumbling for the door to find a reason, to find the time, the place, the hour, waiting for the winter sun and the cold light of day. The misty ghosts of childhood fears. The pressure is building and I can't stay away. I throw myself into the sea. Release the wave, let it wash over me. To face the fear I once believed. The tears of betrayal for you and for me. Where I was, I had wings that couldn't fly. Where I was, I had tears I couldn't cry. My emotions frozen in an icy lake. I couldn't feel them until the ice began to break. I have no power over this. You know I'm afraid. The walls I built are crumbling. The water is moving. I'm slipping away. I throw myself into the sea. Release the wave, let it wash over me. To face the fear I once believed. The tears of betrayal for you and for slowly I awake. Slowly I rise. The walls I built are crumbling. The water is moving. I'm slipping away. I throw myself into the sea. Release the wave, let it wash over me. To face the fear I once believed. The tears of the dragon for you and for me. I throw myself
That's right, from Bruce Dickinson, Balls to Picasso. All right. This next three tunes, if you will, just found this out today. Sonny Rollins passed away at the age of 95. Lived a nice long life, didn't he? Released many, many albums between 1953 and 2006. Also, lots of sessions for other players as well. We're going to touch on one of them in between these two Sonny Rollins songs, which this first one here from 1953, which was actually recorded slightly earlier than that, but released in 53, kind of coincides a little bit because the song is called I Know and is the last track on his first record. Also, though, it was written and by Miles Davis, who would have been 100 years old today if he was alive. He plays piano on this. So let's take a little taste of Sonny and Miles. Hey, Johnny L. See ya. Hey, Toby. That's right. And hello there, sir.
Oh, how's it going?
It's going. It's
I was
going.
just enjoying that Rollins thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did not know that he worked with Miles. I thought that was kind of cool. What an extra. Let's see what not one lesson. Hey, why don't you come up here? I haven't seen you in a while either, my friend. If you're feeling better, hopefully your hip's doing really good, Mr. Allen. But speaking of Johnny L, how are you been?
Not bad. Same old, I just listened to my Dada record like a couple days ago. Was listening to it, but I listened to the whole thing. Boy, what
Nice.
a good album!
Nice,
What a
nice.
really and I took your advice, and I attempted to enter that contest that Joey had, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how the hell do you, because there's some technology I understand and I could figure out, but there's some it's like, he explained how to, take the picture and blah 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 and all this, and it's like I tried to attempt it like 2 or 3 times, then I finally got it. But no, I didn't win though. Unfortunately.
That happens. I mean, what can we say?
Well, I wanted to win so I could go to Rachel. Rachel, look what I got.
Yeah, no kidding. That would have been something.
At least I got that, right? But no, or Renee, look at that. But what an excellent album, and he does a cut on there, or a track on there by the Mamas and Papas. I think it's California Dreamin'. I think it is. I'm not sure. Can't remember. But boy, did they really did a good job on that.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it was really, really, really good. But yeah, he's very talented. The whole band's really, really good and tight band. So. But other than that, not much really. I have I'd say a pretty big backyard, and I'm doing a few things out at the back because we're planning on, planting. My daughter is, so I'm gonna have to help her, but we're planning on planting some tomatoes and a few other things. In those little bags that you can buy them on Amazon. They look like laundry bags, right? They're round. And you can get them in different sizes, like 5 gallons, 10 gallons. So we ordered a few from Amazon. So we're going to be putting some dirt in those bags and planting some tomatoes and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that sounds good.
When you have a house, there's always something to do. It's like it's never never a dull moment.
So we had a strange little incident here a couple times this week and this past week, and it had to do with Toby that was just up here. So Toby likes to go and look out my window, at the side of this place that I live in. And I heard a couple days ago, I hear Toby doing like a slight stuttered meowing, which was very unusual from her. I'm like, what? Yeah, there's going to be a little bit more. What is going on? I said, I don't see any of the boy cats. I don't see them out. I said, I don't see a yard bunny, because once in a while we'll get a yard bunny. Okay.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not seeing anything. Well, then like a couple days later, my grandson's over, and he goes, yeah. He goes, look, Papa Paul, the chicken. And I'm like going, he's 8. And I'm like, chicken. And I almost didn't see it till it turned its head. I said, oh my God, it is a chicken. Why the hell is there a chicken in our backyard? A live chicken. And then I turned, when I came back in to Toby, and I'm like, now I know why you made that noise, because you wanted the chicken. I said, and I said in her ear, I go, but it's not processed, so you can't have it yet.
Well, Toby wanted to choke the chicken. I can relate to that.
I think a lot of us can. Oh boy. Boom, boom. So, as I was, as I was bringing up about Sonny Rollins, okay, he did do a lot of other sessions, but one of the more prolific sessions, I guess, if you will, or one of the more mainstream sessions, was for the Rolling Stones on the 1981 album Tattoo You. He's on 3 tracks on sax. He's on Slave, and he's on Neighbors, which was a minor hit. And then the one that everybody pretty much heard on the radio, and that lovely sax part, this one. I played the album cut here.
in the doorway. I'm just trying to make some sense out of these girls passing by. The tales they tell of men. I'm not waiting on a lady. I'm just waiting on a friend. A smile relieves a heart that grieves. Remember what I said. I'm not waiting on a lady. I'm just waiting on a friend.
Just waiting on a friend. Just waiting on a friend.
Damn right. That is right.
Just waiting on a friend.
Don't need a boy, don't need no cruise, don't need a virgin breeze. But I need someone I can cry to. I need someone to protect. Making love and breaking the heart. It is a game for you. But I'm not waiting on a lady. I'm just waiting
David.
on a friend.
That's right.
I'm just waiting on a friend.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Just waiting on a friend.
He made the damn song. That's like the best part.
That's my favorite instrument.
Yeah, that's like my best part of the song is that whole sax.
You know, they're very I find the Stones very versatile. They they can sing pretty much anything. Like they could sing the blues, they could sing country because I have a 45 with I think Angie on one side and I think there was a country tune on the other side that they were
Dead
singing.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And so it seems, you know, they're really talented group for sure. You know, they could sing anything. Basically, like the Beatles. The Beatles can sing anything really if they wanted to. You know. So,
Yeah.
but
I cannot remember if it's Wild Horses or Dead Flowers, but supposedly Graham Parsons had some involvement with one of the two songs. Seriously. I always love the Stones. They should retire, but in some ways, they're my favorite classic rock band. So many great records, but my favorite. Yeah, I mean, the Brian Jones era of Stones to me is still in my wheelhouse. It's my favorite. I do like the Mick Taylor stuff. Okay, I do. I would say probably as far as for the Mick Taylor stuff, my least favorite album would be "It's Only Rock and Roll." I just never really got along with most of that album. I don't know why. That's just how it is. And then, I mean, I know that, yeah, and they can sing reggae. I know they had just put out that deluxe Black and Blue set that came out, which
Mm.
I'd be kind of curious to get that.
Mm.
Toby, you're all over the place. What's the
Yeah,
deal?
I don't have very many Stones. Funny enough, I have the Hackney Diamonds, of course. Then I have a few, maybe 2 or 3 45s of the one Mick Jagger's solo. I
Sure.
think one with Angie, right, and a couple more, and a CD of the Stones, but the greatest hits from the old tunes that they played. Which I like the old ones, the classic ones that they've played years ago in the '60s and stuff. I like those. So that's about all that I have. It's like
Yeah.
just,
Well, we'll be hearing more from them. Even if they are quote done, there is enough in the vault that they say I think for at least like another 2 albums.
well,
Okay, and not even going archival, which I don't know if they're ever going to get that resolved. The Brian Jones era stuff, but there's still unreleased stuff even from the Brian era, and it's like it's got to be between Abco and the Stones, and I'm just
mm,
like, one of these days somebody's got to give. So I don't
well, I don't think the Stones will be back touring
know. No,
because Keith Richards can't play for sure because of his arthritis and all that stuff, his fingers. So I just can't see them playing together at a concert anymore.
The Comp Flowers is
Unfortunately.
wonderful. I got that in mono, actually. It's one of the few mono stones I've got. Love the brief psychedelic period, unpopular opinion, but Satanic Majesty is probably my favorite album. I think it's funny that back in 67, 68, that a lot of people poo-pooed it, and it only took decades for people to turn their head around and go, huh, maybe this wasn't such a bad album. It's like, well, Some Girls is another excellent album. That's right. Um,
Mm.
so the last Sunny stuff that I'm doing here, his last album came out in '06, but the one I tried to play it and it was giving me some issues, so I went and redirected myself. We're gonna play from 1987. This one called Just Want off his Dancing in the Dark album.
Sonny Rollins played in the Miles Davis quartet Round About Midnight, and it requires a lot of reading, and I hate reading
Ah,
because I can't find. I think I'd rather Google it. It's a lot easier. But I'm just wondering because you mentioned he did play in him
well,
and
hang on.
Miles
Let me
played
steam on.
together. Right?
I can pull it up. Hang on. Around midnight.
Yeah, round about midnight.
Oh yeah, hang on a minute.
The one I got. I got two actually. The other one that I got of this is the first one I got, and I got teased about it because there's a dole. But after it was a what do you call it? A dole, which is what do they say? It's a gray market thing,
Oh yeah, sure.
right? So
Um,
I think Angelo Kelly gave me this one. This is the I'm pretty sure.
no, he's not on it, but
No?
Coltrane is on that one.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got a John Coltrane on. It's a 4i Coltrane, right?
Oh, okay.
And I wonder if he's on here on this Coltrane one. Okay. Ballads, John Coltrane Quartet, limited edition. So It says with McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, and Elvin Jones. So I don't think it's on there.
I never found much Miles. I think I found like one early Columbia
These are
one,
my two.
and then a quad copy of Bitches Brew.
This one's the which one? This one is the Dole. The Dole one of it's on the blue.
Nice.
Miles Davis. I think the other one's just black wax. I think on the other Miles Davis one. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Like Chris, I have found many Miles Davis CDs. I don't know why I haven't picked them up. Some of them were very reasonably priced. I guess just, I don't know. I've been, financially wise, I've been kind of cooling it a little bit on buying things. I got to get through this month. But thank you for sharing. Thank you for showing those.
I have a stack of quite a bit of jazz with I think Coltrane. I have a Cannonball Adderley. I think it's called. He's called or something.
Oh yeah, I've heard of.
I have one of those too back there, and
I'm trying to think. I picked up a couple years back. Somebody dumped a bunch of jazz, but the problem is most of it was really destroyed. And one of the few things that I got out of it was I did pick up a Sonny Rollins, on Prestige, but it was a late '50s album. I think that's all I could tell you. I don't have it anywhere near me to go dig for it, but that's probably the only Sonny I've got.
Yeah, I don't have Sonny at all.
I dig the electric stuff by Miles. Bitches Brew that you mentioned, yeah, on the corner is my favorite. Tutu is a late period gem, in my opinion. Yes. I couldn't believe finding that one in Quad. That one was at a library book sale, and I found this box kind of half covered under the table, and I'm like, right in the middle of the damn box was that Quad. I was like, holy crap. Yes, Exile is a great album indeed too. So we have a 6-pack. Oh yeah, we always have a 6-pack of what appears to be the favorite section of the Psychos Platter show, the rare and the obscure.
No.
Yes, we love
Say it
the
isn't
rare
so.
and obscure. Yeah, but it is. It is. This first one is from Chicago, 1969. Some soul, if you will. Trying my best to find her by the notations.
I got to find my baby, yeah. I got to find my baby, yeah. Oh, well, I looked over here and I looked over there, trying to find her, but I don't know where. She walked out this door just like a breeze, and I dropped to the floor on my knee. And when she left, she kidnapped my soul. Trying to find this pimp, my only goal. Got to find my baby, oh yeah. Come on back to baby, alright. Got to have your love. Well, she went away with the way that I said. She left the good man behind her. She thought she was smart, but left the man behind her. She thought she was smart when she broke my heart, but she could have been more kind. Got to find my baby, oh yeah, baby, 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 all right. Got to find my baby, baby.
That's right, from '69. Some fun stuff there. It's fun stuff to get all those strange tracks that everybody skips over. Turd on the Run. Stop Breaking Down. Sweet Black Angel, dedicated to Angela Davis. Ah, yes. Fun stuff. Exile is a good record. I don't know. I don't have a vinyl copy anymore on that. I never had a copy with the postcards. I know about the postcards, but I do have. I think it's a double CD, deluxe Exile. So there was some really good stuff off of there. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, documenting about it somewhere. This next song from '62, some doo-wop. Yes. The Bandlons with Highest Mountain. Yeah, that was a nice surprise, wasn't it? That notation.
Higher than the highest mountain.
I have that one.
Oh yeah?
Not on vinyl, but I have it in my files.
Yeah.
That's how my love will long for you, dear. It will last till eternity. Bluer than the bluest sky. Redder than the reddest rose. That's how my love will long for you, dear. And I'm sure that everyone knows.
That looked like a fender of a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Man,
they made beautiful cars back then.
Very much.
And I hope you love me too. Oh yes, my darling, here I need you. And I hope you need me too. Oh, bluer than the bluest sky. Redder than the reddest rose. That's how my love will long for you, dear. And I'm sure that everyone knows. And I'm sure everyone
That's right. The Bandlons. Let's see. What's he doing? What's he doing? Oh yes, Plunder My Soul. I do love that song. That is a really good one. There's a couple good ones on that second disc. Some really tasty stuff. Ah, that Exile. Yes. I'm gonna
Oh, is that
kiss
the
you.
different Exile you're talking about, or?
Yeah. We're talking
Oh,
about Exile on Main Street. The
oh,
Stone.
okay. I thought it was this
But
one. Okay.
Exile, they're still going though, those guys. There's like 3 original members in that band still touring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought this is the one you were talking about. Okay.
Nah, it's all good though.
Yeah.
That's some
Because
good
I
stuff.
knew I had an Exile, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good stuff though. By the way, I'm with you. I'm with you, Sean, with some girls. My favorite Spectacle is borderline punk, and on that tour, Jagger often wore a Sex Pistols Destroy t-shirt. I can't talk. Yes. Good stuff there. Now, this next one is not out to confuse. Okay, it's not. We have Johnny G, who does a radio show.
Oh,
We have
he's
Johnny
good.
L. Yes, both excellent
Yeah.
radio shows.
Yeah.
But we're not talking Johnny G or Johnny L. We're talking, oh boy, Johnny Z with Midnight Beach Party. That's right. Johnny Z. 4D. Yes. That's right. 4D.
So that guy's was it or is a DJ? Johnny C? From what I gather, is he? Or
Ooh, no. He was the one, whoever's playing that song we just played.
oh,
I was being
okay.
silly. I was being
Oh,
silly. Not to confuse with, yeah. I guess it got slightly lost in translation. What can I
It's
say?
it kind of sounds like surf almost, I suppose.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
See, like that. All right. Next one here. We did play, I don't think we played this song exactly, but we have played Johnny Niles on here before. Johnny Niles was a early pseudonym for Harry Nielsen. Wig job, not to be confused with getting a merkin.
Big job! There goes my baby with the brand new look. Got all the fellas in the neighborhood shook. Oh, you should see them when they stop and stare. With the wiggle in a walk
I
and a
don't know if I've
silver
seen
gray hair. Wig job! How I love my baby in a wig job. She really drives me crazy cause she's got that style that's driving me wild. Wig job. First time I saw her, nearly passed her by. I couldn't help but notice that she gave me the eye. I finally recognized that this was my girl, and with the new look, she looked out of this world. Wig job, how I love my baby in a wig job. She really drives me crazy cause she's got that style that's driving me wild. Wig job. My girl, when she's so lost to see, so pretty and exciting when she's good for me. I'm all told up and I'm walking on air. I'm in love with my baby with the silver gray hair. She is so yeah. How I love my baby in a wig job. She really drives me crazy cause she's got that style that's driving me wild. Wig job. Oh, my baby's got a wig job. Wig job. You know it and you really gonna show it now. Wig job. Come on, child, with your wig job looking good now. Wig job. You shine like I knew you would now. Wig job. Oh, come on, oh, now. Wig job.
Well, Wig Job, the sequel to Bald Headed Woman.
That sounds kind of like Connie Stevens, "Kooky Kooky, lend me your comb."
There you go.
kind of a feel to it. Not that it sounds the same, but it's like this one's wig job and the other one's lend me your comb.
Yeah. I've heard of that Everyone's Lucifer book on Jagger. I can't remember if I've read that or not. I cannot remember if I've read that book or not. There's so many Stones books and stuff I've read over the years. This next one from 74. Ripple. That's right. I said Ripple. No, don't go grab your bottle. But it is a funky song, so maybe you may want to get your Ripple. At least that's what the title says.
Ain't nothing going on but a funky song. What you say? Hey, ain't nothing going on but a funky song. Ain't nothing going on but a funky song. Ain't nothing going on but a funky song. Singing funk, oh, I will supply. Oh, yeah, yeah. When I sing funky music, oh, yeah, yeah. Lord, I cry and sing, yo, ya, yeah, yo. Shut up, oh, my, yo. Yo, ya, yo. Shut up, oh, my, yo.
Yes, it does. I can see this in one of those early 70s movies. Oh God, Thunderbird. Yes, Ripple with funky song. How you doing?
Hey, 4D.
Well, we're in a heat wave at the moment in the UK.
That is what I heard.
And I went walking. I left the house at 11:10 this morning, went walking until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then from 2 o'clock in the afternoon, went walking until 5 o'clock in the evening. I've now aged 10 years in the last 24 hours.
Oh, geez, I'll tell you.
I think I overdid it. It was. I mean, I had my cap on, so my bald head didn't get sunstroke.
Good.
But, while I was walking back, I had to rest halfway by the side of the road because I was so wasted. I thought I'm getting too old for this now.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, drinking Thunderbird on a hot Wednesday afternoon at the car wash. Yes, that's right. Oh boy. You know what? I'm glad that you came up here for another reason other than I love when you're up here. But that Dracula poster that is behind you
Yes.
there, so maybe I'd like to shed some light on something. Maybe you even read the news item, maybe not, having to do with, and I love Hammer horror, okay, but I have heard coming soon they are going to put, I don't remember the year on this, okay? I want to say came out in the late 50s. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Dracula, okay, the Hammer horror Dracula, but
Yeah.
supposedly they found a little bit
Yeah.
of lost footage.
Yes. The story behind that is that it wasn't an alternative version, but it's to do with censorship in the UK, and they insisted on certain cuts. But in Japan, they were more lenient about censorship, and for decades there was this legend that there was this Japanese version that nobody knew about, that had this extra footage. Specifically, the disintegration scene at the end where Christopher Lee's face is sort of melting. There's an extra scene where he puts his hand on his face, and as he does that, his flesh is peeling away. Things like
Oh,
that.
jeez, nice.
And
Nice.
in one of the staking of the vampires, there's an extra 2 blows that the UK censor said that's too much. Take out 2 of those blows. So they took that out. So it turns out that there's a British guy who was living in Tokyo, expat British guy, and he went to a museum in Tokyo where they had a film department, and he went in there and he found these reels, these film cams, and when he put them on a projector, it was the lost footage all integrated into the entire film. And so now if you buy the Blu-ray from the British Film Institute, or I guess America will have this Blu-ray as well, they have the restored version of all those things. It's only a matter of 5 seconds here and 2 seconds
Still,
there, but
that's
still,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
And then the second news item, speaking of UK, which I think is kind of cool. I don't know when it's going to get reshown, but it was I'm not good with this stuff. I wish I had the article to read to you right now. But it was aired in late '68 on BBC TV. It was a horror anthology series, and they said the last time that the episode was shown was one rebroadcast in '69, and then it went lost, and they found it. It had something to do with I'm a vampire or I'm not a vampire. That's the name of the title of it, but it's a BBC production. And I'm like, even I'm fascinated. I want to see this thing. And so I'm like, I love that this lost media is being found in all these little places after decades and decades and decades.
Yeah. I love that rediscovery too, and maybe vinyl has the equivalent of a rediscovery of a record, but maybe where there weren't many issues. Like the Beatles. A certain Hamburg recording was legendary for a while because they hadn't found it, and so was the Quarrymen first recording that they did in Liverpool. Nobody had that for ages, and it turned out that one of the Quarrymen had kept it for like 40 fucking years. It was about to put it on auction until Paul McCartney vetoed it. But that record was legendary for a while. Like I think 3 Cool Cats might have been on it, and That'll Be the Day was on that record as well. But it was legendary for a while. Like nobody had heard it, and everybody thought, God, has it been destroyed? And then all of a sudden it shows up. This guy had shown up. As for this poster,
yes,
because you can't see it very well there, my lighting isn't very good. I'm just going to make you if you bear with me, you're going to get a bit seasick for a little bit. It's just so I can bring it a bit closer.
It's all right.
Now, okay, let me see if I can. Okay, so it's a double poster. So that's Dracula, Prince of Darkness, and it was on a double bill with Plague of the Zombies, because
Nice.
they filmed these two films back to back so they could reuse the sets, which is what Hammer used to do. But what I wanted to show you, if I can just show you the frame, you can't see it very well, but there's a green felt inlay in that frame between the two gold bits. Can you see that very well in the frame of it? It's a green
Yes.
felt inlay. Okay, so the story behind that is, let me just put the camera back. The story behind that green felt inlay is that in a local post office, Salford Post Office, the place had been closed down, but nobody had bought it yet. And this guy just kind of repossessed it, and he was a framer, so he would frame stuff for you. And he had an amazing selection of frames, and he was so cheap because, in a sense, he had no overheads. He was squatting in the place. So you went into the old post office, give him the poster, and then come back. And so I thought, well, because of the green on Plague of the Zombies, I thought this lovely green felt inlay on the frame. So eventually the guy was kicked out, obviously, by the police. But for a while he offered a sterling service. So there you go.
And now we have this man.
Yeah. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Welcome to Applesauce.
How you doing? Yeah, pork
Rock
chop.
and roll. What's up, Donnie L?
Hey,
Good to see you.
We are here. 40, you brought up Beatles for a second. I wanted
Yeah.
to. I
Brother
wanted to
4D, man.
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
4D brought up Three Cool Cats.
Yes.
Love
The Coasters in 1958 sang that Three Cool Cats.
That's right. That's right.
Three. Yeah. So I would assume that they probably maybe most likely copied it off the Coasters.
Of course.
Yeah,
They studied all those bands back then.
so Johnny, they did the Coasters did it in '58. You say?
58, yeah.
What's up, Trent?
I think that was the date of the Quarrymen record, '58. So yeah, it could be right.
Nice.
And I seem to remember hearing George Harrison's vocals a lot in that.
Yeah.
one.
Hey, what's up, man? I
Hey.
doubt it's the other way around. I doubt it was the other way around that at that point that the Coasters heard the Beatles version. We got to do the song.
Well, I just on my show I just played the Persuasions, and
Nice.
and they cover "Oh Darling" by the Beatles on the Abbey Records. They sing "Oh Darling" in a cappella, the Persuasions, and I played it on my show today, and it sounds great as a covering them, the Beatles, for that. And they also sing 8 days of a week, 8 days
I
a
got to
week.
do that myself now.
The Persuasions. The Persuasions, yeah, really, really good. Yeah,
I'd be interested to hear "Oh Darling."
Yeah.
'cause
yeah.
Paul
So
McCartney's vocal on that was
yeah,
fucking
Right.
brilliant.
well, supposedly,
Paul McCartney vocal of all time.
supposedly, I read that John Lennon had an interview in Playboy magazine, and he was saying that Paul did he done good, but it would have been better if John Lennon would have sung it, because it's more of his style, right?
I agree that it's more of his style.
Which I agree with John Lennon.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to be able to compare the two. If only he'd have.
I mean, Paul did a good job. I mean, no doubt about it. But
and he really went for it.
I could hear John. I could hear John
you are
Lennon
right
singing
on,
it though.
brother.
I can hear John Lennon singing
Yes,
that
I
a lot
can,
better.
I
though.
can.
Right.
Paul is right on top of things, man. That's why he's where he is.
So if you guys are interested, check out the Persuasions, and they sing 8 days a week, and "Oh Darling" is really, really good.
Never make it alone. Believe me when I tell you, I'll never do you no harm.
Awesome.
Love it.
Oh, darling, please believe me. I'll never make it alone. Believe me when I beg you, I'll never do you no harm. Oh, when you told me you didn't need me anymore, you know I nearly broke down and cried. When you told me you didn't need me anymore, you know I nearly broke down and died. Oh, darling, please believe me. I'll never make it alone.
Wow.
Believe me when I tell you, I'll never do you no harm. Oh, when you told me you didn't need me anymore, you know I nearly broke down and cried. When you told me you didn't need me anymore, you know I nearly broke down and died. Oh, darling, please believe me. I'll never make it alone. Believe me when I tell you, I'll never do you no harm. Oh, when you told me you didn't need me anymore, you know I nearly broke down and cried. When you told me you didn't need me anymore, you know I nearly broke down and died. Oh, darling, please believe me. I'll never make it alone. Believe me when I tell you, never leave me alone.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know
That
what I
was
love.
pretty nice.
You know what I love about that? Those type of songs.
Nice.
You've got a guy pouring his heart out there,
Mm.
and then in contraposition, you've got this other guy going. Doo-ba-da-doo,
Yeah.
doo-ba-da-doo.
Yeah, the bassman. Yeah, the bassman's there singing that, you know, do 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 do.
Yeah,
To me, it sounds like literally they turned the Beatles song into a gospel song. And then every time it's like wearing down, it's like, oh, baby, Lord's coming down. You know, it's like,
But I like that little nod he did to Paul McCartney where he went, ooh.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought
I
you'd
used to stay
be.
in the black churches. They have a thing called losing your voice for Christ. I mean, like, they really put their oomph into it. And wow.
They do 8 days a week pretty good too.
I'm sure they do. That was fantastic.
That's a really nice find, that record. I'm going to have to get that.
Yeah, I never heard that before. Good call, Johnny.
Well, I've got it on my list on my in my files. The Persuasions, a whole pile of them, and I happen to come across that one, and it's like,
Johnny,
shit, I got to play that one.
wanna get it.
I got to play that one, right? So I played it on my show.
See,
And of course,
Mello's gone to the record store right now to pick it up.
and of course, I
Johnny,
gave them.
You got to get this in your files right here.
Oh, hang on a minute. Butchering the Beatles.
Butchering the Beatles. Look at that song list.
That's kind of tiny, even when I got you big.
Yeah, I can't read it.
Yeah, you can't read it. It's like all heavy metal. All
really?
like hodgepodge of people. Yeah, it's even harder. Like Hey Bulldog is done with like Yngwie Malmsteen and Joe Lynn Turner.
It comes to show you how much of a great great friggin' band the Beatles were.
Mm-hmm.
They've had their influence on so many people and bands and everything else. Even the fashions and everything else. It's just unbelievable. I mean, the best band in the world, I think, in my opinion, right? I mean, there's so much influence.
You know, in the last few hours, Paul McCartney has done an interview for BBC Radio 2, and YouTube have put it up. And it's a lovely interview. I love what he says about nostalgia. But if you look in the comments thread, there's a beautiful comment by a guy who lives in LA, whose auntie is 100 years old now, and she was a bus conductor in Liverpool, and she has personal memories of hearing the 3 Quarrymen on the top deck, just strumming their guitars.
Damn.
And, so it's a beautiful comment. So I've just left him a question because he'll wonder if I'm nuts, but I want to know what the bus number was. What bus number did she work on? Because I've got a 1957 Liverpool Corporation bus guide, and it's got route maps in it and everything. It's from 1957, and so I'm now curious to find out what bus route she took. So I don't know if he'll reply or whether he'll think I'm nuts, but that's what I.
Mazzy gave me this book hardcover.
Yes.
Mazzy and another guy, what's his name? Mazzy and
is he not on the front?
Daniel Bacon and Mazzy. It's signed anyways, 1982.
Lovely,
but
lovely.
It tells you all the places. They go through all the places and everything of where the Beatles went and did. Very good book to read. Yeah, if you can get one.
I've got a paperback copy of it, Johnny.
Oh, do you? Oh, yeah. Okay.
But there were 8 pages missing in it. I think somebody's taken photographs of it.
Well,
so every time I'm on with Maz and that subject comes around, I remind him I've got 8, as if it's his fault. I remind him that I've got 8 pages missing in my copy of the book.
David Bacon, yeah.
I gotta tell you, you're talking about somebody that has memories of the Beatles playing on the upper deck as the Quarrymen.
Yeah.
Before Beatles, that kind of first-hand eyewitness. You know how rare that is?
Oh, absolutely.
That first-hand eyewitness is literally, those are the last vestiges of people that are really, truly, should be cherished because they have the real memory. When you think about it, I mean, honestly, after, whenever Paul's time is left on this earth, they really should study his brain because, honestly, who in their whole entire life can you think of that's been asked about more memories of their life than Paul McCartney? Every single day, people are asking him to recall something he did in 1959, 1962. Do you remember going in the studio recording "And I Love Her" in 1963? What was it like? Can you tell me, did you take a shit that day? Like, literally, it's that level. And literally, Paul McCartney must be literally blown away the level of questioning that he has to go recall into his brain. And then you wonder why he can remember as many lyrics and things that he does. That's the question I would be asking Paul. What is your brain like to be asked this many questions about memories of your life?
That's why him and John Lennon were the best.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that happens to every celebrity, but nobody is more than Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. Maybe Keith Richards or somebody, like that high up there,
I don't know about Keith Richards, to tell you the truth. That poor guy's been through so much shit. It's unbelievable. And he's still, the thing is Keith Richards is still friggin' walking and breathing. This guy's unbelievable. They should put him in the they should put him in the Smithsonian Institute and study him.
People probably ask him, when they ask him a memory, he probably tells them, "You tell me and I'll believe you."
Well, the reason I asked the guy that bus number question is because I'm very interested in recreating a scene, because a big plus when you're researching in the sort of history of the Beatles and the Quarrymen, I think it's the same fixation that you get when people go and visit Forthlin Road or Menlove Avenue, and you've got all these tourists stood in a living room, and for sure that what they're trying to do in their mind is recreate Lennon and McCartney composing the song. They're trying to put themselves back there in time, so they're trying to recreate that. It's not just about an info dump about, well, it was 1957, and it was. It's more about absorbing your consciousness into the past, as if you could bring the past back, or as if you could be part of it and engage with it. So if you find out little peripheral details that most journalists never bother to ask, such as what bus number was it, and from there you can actually recreate the route, and if you can find out what month it was, maybe you can figure out what gig they were going to. Because if there's three of them and they've got guitars, they're definitely going to a gig.
This is what this book. Yeah, in this book they have one where he's the bus number and where they got on the bus and went somewhere. In this book it says something about that, something about them getting on the bus.
Right. That might be one of my missing 8 pages.
But hey, 4D, you can create one. Create it. Just
Just think about, though, in your own life, all your own memories of your whole life. Can you? I mean, like, think about, like, if somebody was asking you when you were 22 years old and telling you details of some party you went to or some interview you did or some, like, now, granted, a guy like the Beatles, people like the Beatles, that level, they absolutely must realize that they're doing these historical kind of things when you're doing press conferences at JFK, airport and shit. That's got to stand out a little bit. But, like, how much can you really retain with everything and the whole world observing it and having different details that they're observing?
Yeah, but Mello is a really weird thing. Somebody can say something that can trigger a memory that you didn't know you had. Like all of a sudden, it resurfaces. Sometimes a piece of music can do that. And what it makes me wonder is, where the fuck has that memory been then? Because I'd forgotten it. I didn't know it existed. If somebody had asked me personally, I wouldn't be able to recall anything. I'd say, I've forgotten, that's long gone. And yet somebody says something that triggers that memory, and all of a sudden it's there, it's accessible.
See, I get the opposite. Where I'm trying to find something. I remember exactly where I placed it and but the moment where I placed it, it's blocked for some right up to the moment.
But don't they call that selective memory?
Yeah,
because I have
smoking too much dope. It could be either one of those.
Because I have that sometimes. I'll remember what happened when I was 5 or 6, but then sometimes I can't remember what happened, what I did a month ago.
Yes, but I believe as you get older, Johnny, because I'm finding that too. You've got more access to the deep past than you have to what happened yesterday. I'm finding that.
But I don't know if that's a good sign or not. Does that mean you got 1 foot in the freaking grave or something when you're
honestly, selective memory in the general terms is somebody who's choosing to remember something to use against you, or like if you're having an argument and they're only remembering certain details of something, or they're neglecting details, that's called selective memory.
Well, but like I have selective memory. I can remember stuff, like I said, stuff when I was 5 or 6, and sometimes I can't remember a month ago.
Well,
so that's selective, right? So,
I think
know.
Paul McCartney has selective memory because he only wants to remember the positive things. He really doesn't like remembering the negative stuff.
So right.
So there was a news item that came up, I think was within the last week or two. So I know this is old news, but it just makes me curious. So their Universal Music Group, which I guess owns, the EMI stuff.
Yep.
Is in a lawsuit with the estate of Jeff Emmerich. I don't know if you heard about this, but supposedly there was a tape that was discovered, and on that tape is from June 6th, 1962.
Ooh.
Nobody knows what is on this tape. And yes, it's Pete Best era Beatles EMI. And so everybody is claiming that, and Emmerich, I guess, told the story to his kid. Okay. So the kid said that his dad said that back then that EMI or George Martin or whoever the heck would have told him this said to destroy the tape. Well, yeah, back then. And so the thing is, he didn't do it. He took it home. Okay.
Ah.
Well, Universal is claiming, well, that you took EMI property, which is like, no, because they wanted it destroyed and it was going to get destroyed anyway.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is what we may never hear the contents of this tape. Okay. The
Just
other
a-
thing is,
Just just trust a big corporation to fuck it up.
yeah,
Right,
I
right.
know, right? All right.
But wait, Paul. Let me ask you something. Did the son actually listen to the tape himself? Did anybody hear it? Is there any report of what is on the tape?
I do not know that part. Okay. And if
Okay.
anybody in the comments knows, shed some light. The other thing is, though, and this is, I guess, a little older story, okay? But I wish I remembered the name of the guy that he has a tape from 59.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it has to do with, God, was it George? George might have borrowed this tape recorder from somebody, okay? And that he got this tape from 59 of the three of them, and I am just sitting here and I'm going, I don't know how long it is.
Well, you know why? Listen, you know why that makes sense? Because if he had to borrow a recorder, a tape recorder, that means they didn't have a tape either. So he probably borrowed the tape to record on that they were going to maybe just use, and he gave the tape back with the recorder that had the music on it.
Well,
But can
in the late 50s in Forthlin Road, Paul McCartney's neighbour had a portable tape recorder. So it'll be. So my guess is it'll be a recording from Forthlin Road in Paul McCartney's living room.
There you go.
And you know what, Courtney? That makes sense even more, because if he did borrow with the guy's tape that he had to give back, then maybe later on they were going to transfer it to his friend's tape deck so they could have a copy themselves. So if that's the case, then if they did that, then what this guy has would be a first generation compared to the Beatles' own copy would have been a second generation.
Yeah.
So there is stuff. It's just we may never hear it in our lifetime with all.
Oh my God.
That's very significant, man.
Yeah, the money you can get for that would be something
Well,
else.
if you're allowed and you can get past all kinds of.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice thing that Paul McCartney did, you know, when I wish I could remember his name, the pianist that used to play with the Quarrymen, because he had some lovely stories. But he was the fellow who held on to the Quarrymen's first recording for all those decades, and then he put it. Then he put it up from auction. Next thing, the auctioneers hear from Paul McCartney's lawyers, and everything's got to be put on hold. But the nice thing that Paul McCartney paid him an undisclosed sum that was probably six figures. So in order to retrieve that record for Paul McCartney's collection, he gave this Quarrymen musician, and this is an example of my fucking memory going, Johnny. I can't remember. I've even written about the guy. And I still can't remember his name. So it was nice. Paul McCartney always likes to tell the story is when they came out of this Liverpool recording studio, whose name I can't remember either, and they were the five of them were walking down the street. They all agreed that they would keep the record themselves for a week, and then they would pass it on to the next guy and pass it on to the next guy. And obviously John Lennon was first. He claimed it first, and we don't know for sure, but it's highly likely that his mum Julia heard that record, and she was the woman who taught him to play "That'll Be the Day," and that was on the record. So and she was run over. She was run over by a car very like within days after that. Within
4D.
days.
Could it be John Duff Lowe?
Yeah, well done, well done. That's the man, John Duflo.
Wow, Johnny.
I could easily divert into. I won't do, but I could easily divert into some very weird tangents to do with John Duflo.
Listen, I would take the credit for that, but I googled it.
well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, John Duflo. Yeah. And John Duflo, because he only played on certain gigs where they had to have a piano on the premises, because that's all he did. He played piano, Jerry Lee Lewis style. So
Right.
he was the lesser member, so to speak. So he was the last guy who borrowed it for a week. And Paul McCartney loves to say he borrowed it for a week that turned out to be 40 fucking years. He borrowed it for 40 years. So legally, you know, he had no right to keep it and put it up for auction. But Paul McCartney did him right by paying him a handsome sum in order to get it off him. And the other thing that illustrates is how much, you know, every band usually has an archivist, like Bill Wyman was the archivist for the Rolling Stones. The archivist for the Beatles is definitely Paul McCartney, because he's the one with the strongest sense of nostalgia. He's the one who's always going back to Liverpool, even at this late stage. He's the one who was photographed. He was the one who was photographed waiting for a bus in 2020 in Liverpool. He stood at a bus stop waiting for a bus.
Yeah, because I don't think John Lennon was really interested in archiving anything. Really,
I can hear that. That was a little strange story too. About that.
I remember that too.
Yeah. Let's get the.
that's-
Oh dear Lord, I don't understand that. Maybe I don't want to. 40 you believe that Stu became a competent bass player after the long hours in Hamburg?
My feeling about Stu Sutcliffe is he's probably got more of a bad rep as a bass player than he deserves. He probably wasn't such a great bass player, but I do think he was competent. This story about him always turning his back so you wouldn't see his fingering because he was. I don't really believe
you said fingering.
I don't believe he was. I don't believe he was incompetent, and I believe turning his back to the audience is more of a pose, like Miles Davis used to do the same thing. It's a pose. It's not an insecurity. It's a pose that Stu Sutcliffe was doing. And I also feel that Pete Best was a competent drummer. He didn't have a lot of style. But
you know, think of it this way, 4D, you know, as a musician, if you're going to play with guys the level of John Lennon, George Harrison, Paul McCartney, even at 17 years old, they had extraordinary skills that they were able to develop from just being in their position and practicing all day, and that's the only thing that they lived for. So there's no doubt that Pete Best and Stuart Sutcliffe was able to hang with them for as long as they did, because if they didn't have anything, the first day it wouldn't have worked. But it worked enough that they played years with them. Years, not just months, years.
And Stu Sutcliffe left of his own accord because he wanted to pursue his art. And Pete Best was a drummer for 2 years, just like the previous Quarrymen drummer, Colin, whose name I can't remember. He was with the Quarrymen for 2 years, and then Pete Best was with the Beatles for 2 years as a drummer.
You know what it became? It became that the Beatles, the three of them, outgrew those guys. Those guys couldn't keep up at the pace that John, Paul, and George were unionly synced. That they could feel the discord because they weren't matching up at the level of rate that they were going at.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but with one proviso. With regard to Pete Best, if Pete Best had remained the drummer, he would undoubtedly have improved by say 1967.
Oh, no doubt.
So but people measure him at that cutoff point of 62 as if he was incapable of developing, which is unfair. I think. I'm not saying he's as good as Ringo. I don't think he has the style. But he's been hard done to, that fella. I think.
I'll give you one better. I think that honestly, Pete Best's album Heyman's Green is better than anything that Ringo or Paul put out that year. That album is superior in every single way, in my mind, than either Ringo's or Paul's output of that year, of that time.
But 4D, what they did to Pete Best, I think it was kind of underhanded. Because wasn't it the story where Pete Best couldn't show up because of his family, some part of his family health issues or some kind of something or something like that?
His grandfather
something like
died.
that, right? So he couldn't make a couple of sessions or a couple of and they kind of got fed up and then look, underhandedly they discovered Ringo, right? And then they kicked him out type thing, right?
Yeah, that's true, but there's a bit more to it than that in terms of bonding.
Yeah, that's my short version.
Right. But in terms of bonding, though, Pete lived much further out than the other guys, and he would come into a gig, say at the Cavern Club. He would come in the van driven by Mal, not Mal. Fucking memory, man. Driven by somebody else. Neil Aspinall would drive him in from Hayman's Green into the gigs, and afterwards, because it was a long trek back, and because he had drums, Neil would drive him back while the other guy stayed around and had a few pints. And the crucial difference, talking about buses, is that the other three guys usually travelled everywhere on the bus, and Pete Best would be at the gig with the van and his drums. So
right.
he wasn't. Yeah, and if you think about how important buses were, well, George Harrison was auditioned on the bus. Colin, the Quarrymen drummer, was recruited on a bus and fired, or rather, he left on a bus.
Wow!
There's a lot of bonding that went on these bus routes that Pete Best was never part of because he never took the bus.
This question is for you. Paul's young.
I don't see any evidence that Paul McCartney is holding a grudge against Pete Best. His relationship with Stuart was problematic because they had a fight, and because Paul McCartney. Here's another bus story for you. Paul McCartney, when they used to go on the buses, Paul McCartney used to sit up front with John Lennon, and then John Lennon got real friends with Stu Sutcliffe at Art College, and all of a sudden it was John and Stu in the bus, and Paul McCartney was sat at the back, second fiddle with George Harrison. And there was a lot of jealousy about that. And so a lot of negativity came out of that. But I don't see any evidence that, unless you can tell me any different, I don't see any evidence that Paul McCartney...
this is the funny thing about that. Nobody wants to bring up...
Yeah, hang on, Mello. Hang on. Okay. While I just answer. There's a lot of... I mean, for instance, when the anthology came out, it was Paul McCartney. Of everybody else, it was Paul McCartney who made sure that Pete Best got royalties from that.
Right.
He was the main guy. So I don't see any evidence that Paul McCartney is hostile to Pete Best. And I think, like with all the other Beatles, he probably feels some guilt about the way they fired him.
Well, this is the only comment I have to say about this is because nobody explores the real connection with Pete Best and the Beatles after he left, because he still was like connected. Wasn't Mal Evans married to his mother?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Neil Aspinall, one of them, or married to his mother.
Neil Aspinall, yeah.
And literally, that means that she was involved in the affairs with the Beatles. So there's no way to think that Pete wasn't intimately hearing what was going on and knowing everything. And the other thing is, if they really feel bad, why wouldn't they bring Pete in for a session later on in the career? Like, they have all their shit set, but they're bringing all these extra musicians. Why couldn't they just throw Pete a bone, or even one of them? Wouldn't it be great for Ringo to actually embrace Pete and said, you know what, why don't you play on one of my songs, Pete? Like, if Ringo, Paul, if you're hearing it, why don't you throw Pete a bone?
Yeah, you know, I agree with the sentiment of that, Mello, except that if you think about Andy Nicol, is it Andy Nicol, the guy who
Jimmy Nicol? Jimmy
Nicol, right? That was a bit awkward, and afterwards,
that was sad story with him too.
Afterwards, they've got to say to him, obviously, when Ringo's going, goodbye, that's your stint over. So what happens if Pete Best, who's been with them for 2 years, a few years down the line, they say, do you want to come in and fill in this? And then they've got to say to him yet again, goodbye. And he's already been rejected once. It's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, but you come to an understanding at that point. If you realize you would be more appreciative if they came back to you who are washing dishes at a restaurant. The Beatles drummer is like working as a car salesman. You can't throw the guy a bone. Tom Petty went back to his band in Florida and said, "You know what? I appreciate you guys so much that I'm going to record an album with you." They should have did it with the Quarrymen. They should have did it with all the guys that helped them get to where they are.
My feeling is that the bone they should have thrown him a lot earlier than when Paul McCartney did it in 1994. I think around about say 1964 or 5, they should have thrown him a financial bone. They don't even. They don't even have to meet him if they don't want to. They're so embarrassed. But they should have done him right financially, I think.
And I always hate when they say there's only 2 Beatles that are left in the world. No, there's 3. Pete Best was a frickin' Beatle of every word definition. There's 3 Beatles that are still alive.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for the signed book because I got to meet this gentleman. He is one of the few Beatle people that I ever did get to meet, along with Lawrence Juber and
Nice.
well, I was in the same room as Yoko, but so one of the town that I went to high school in, McHenry, Illinois, Fiesta Days, okay, they ended up getting American English, which was a really good tribute band for Beatles stuff, okay. Liverpool Legends was Louise Harrison. I got to meet her many years later too. But who they brought as a special guest for that day was Sam Leach, who pre-managed the Beatles before Brian, which I thought was quite interesting. I thought.
Wasn't it? I thought Andy Williams or no. I remember in the complete Beatles.
I know who you're talking about.
I remember in the documentary he was like one of the early Beatle managers because he's the one that sent them over to Germany. And he made that comment, if you send the bum Beatles over, we're going to get wiped out. Like, he made that famous comment.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I'm sorry, just a quick blurb. The last Jimmy Nickel thing that I remember hearing about was in 65, I want to say. Could have been 66. For some reason, Dave Clark and the Dave Clark 5 couldn't do a particular part of a tour leg. Jimmy Nickel was a substitute drummer just for that short. I want to say it was like 10 dates. And that's the last thing anybody heard of Jimmy.
Honestly, I think I'd seen a documentary where they were talking about in 1967, he had his own like project that he was like, going to try to be featured in, and it never went nowhere. That was like one of the things I heard, but that was like in 67.
I didn't know that.
What were you going to say, Forty?
Do you know, bearing in mind my age, Paul, I've fucking forgotten what I was going to say.
That's okay, man. I'd have to sit every damn day. Here's another one.
Do you know anything about the band that Stuart joined in Hamburg after leaving? Do you mean that with the All Stars? Are you talking about the All Stars? Is it the Lee Curtis All Stars? Was that the one you mean? But I don't know anything about them except that they fizzled out, and I don't know why they fizzled out. He's the
5th Beatle.
Oh, it had something to do with Maz, I think, what I was going to say, but it's still not coming back to me.
So there's early stuff. It's just, are we ever going to hear it? And
is there really?
Does Peter Jackson working on those Star Club tapes?
I can't wait.
That too.
Who knows? I hope so. Because I mean, I've got the double album Lingus song release from 77, 78, whatever the hell it is. I've got 2 different versions on vinyl, and then what was it? The one that caused the big lawsuit. I found, because they split them, Sony Music split them into 2 volumes on CD, and at Goodwill, I found one of the volume 2, if I remember right. It had a red cover, and I found that damn thing at a Goodwill for like $2 about a couple years back. Found out about the story that Sony put it like in some cheap ass Priceline series that they were trying to do in the 90s. and they got away with it for 6 months tops. And so it only sold for 6 months before the lawsuit hit, and then George Harrison got the damn tapes. And
Right.
I'm like, end of that story for the moment.
Well, yeah, and do you know, because you mentioned those Hamburg Star tapes that what's the director who's working on them now? What's his name?
Peter Jackson.
Yeah, Peter Jackson. So the big story behind that is supposed to be it's such a big technical renovation that he's doing. It's going to take ages. Probably, I think the technical renovation won't take long, but it's the lawsuits to negotiate before he can release the fucking thing. I bet that's the problem. All the legal discussions that he will have to have with Apple, with Paul McCartney separately, all the different estates. That must be a real minefield.
I haven't.
Yeah, I never heard of the
Never
Bats either.
before. I never
That's
heard
what
of
you brought up here.
Oh, right. Well, you know more about them than I do then, Martin. Because
And then, of course, supposedly, I can't remember if it was Peter Jackson or somebody went off and said, surprise, surprise, we found filming of some of the recording of the White Album in '68. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I've heard that.
So,
so that's up for grabs as well.
yeah.
So, I mean, and the White Album Super Deluxe Edition has been and gone, so it's a question of, well, so how will they release that then?
Yeah.
Wow, you know what? I'm looking up on this day in music because there's a lot of things that happened today. When you realize today is the true anniversary of the release of Sgt. Pepper's, because it was released in the UK today on May 26th instead of in June 1st in the America.
Wow.
So today's the real, and next year in 1967 to 2027, it's going to be, a magnitude, anniversary.
He mentioned, 4D mentioned the one for, I have volume 2, the Beatles' first recording in Hamburg, Germany.
Yeah, I've had a Pickwick.
So I don't know whether the person that he mentioned, I'm trying to find on here, but I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of reading, and I hated reading for. I like the book Mazzy game. I think I went 2 chapters or 3 chapters. I put it down, and I haven't picked it up yet. So I don't.
Well, that ties into another bus story, Johnny.
Yeah, right.
You know when they came back from Hamburg and they were pretty fractured and they didn't get in touch with each other for the best part of a week after they came back from their first visit to Hamburg, and then the big story that everybody, including Mark Lewison, likes to tell is that the Litherland Town Hall was the big turnaround gig. I think it was it the 28th of December 1960. It's always overdone that. It wasn't the big turnaround gig, but it did get them a lot of bookings afterwards. But the funny bus story is, so George Harrison went to that gig on the bus, and that's where he got in touch with that guy who became one of the Beatles' PR guys who went with them to London. I can't remember his name. If I mentioned his name, you'd know him because he's written a book about the Beatles. But that's another name that's gone by the wayside in my memory. So George Harrison is on the bus. He's reconnecting with this guy who's going to this gig by this German band called the Beatles that he hadn't heard of. He'd seen the Quarrymen before, but this is the Beatles. So George had to explain to him that on the bus that actually that's us. We're the German band. We just come back from Germany. But the funny thing is that George Harrison's father for 30 years drove the number 81 bus out of Speak in Liverpool. And what George Harrison's dad was desperate for George to do was stay on his apprenticeship as an electrician. And stop fucking around with the guitar so much, because he's never going to. It's the old story. You're never going to earn a living. But the funny thing is, of course, he was obliged to give his son a free lift. So he's ending up driving George, who he wants to be an electrician, to another fucking gig. You can imagine him talking to himself while he's driving the bus. Thinking, what?
Yeah, right.
I'm actually facilitating something I don't want the lad to do.
So 4D would Tony Burrow ring a bell?
Yeah, that does ring a bell. Yeah.
There you go.
Well done. I need Johnny with me wherever I go.
Yeah, right.
Hey, listen, I wish I could remember all that. Google's your best friend. Trust me.
Fuck yeah, it is. You know, also in 2022, we lost another guy that was kind of connected with the Beatles. It's the anniversary of Alan White's death today.
Ah,
He's the drummer of Imagine, and he was on Instant Karma. He played with George Harrison, Ginger Baker.
Oh, really? I've never heard Alan Wyatt. I don't think.
He's a drummer. Phenomenal drummer. Played the drums on Imagine.
I got to see him perform with Yes in 19. I think it was the last tour he did with them.
He was the Plastic Ono
on
drummer.
Imagine. They ended up
Right.
Cool.
Right, and he's part of the Plastic Ono band. You know, all the concerts live in New York and all that. He's part of that as well.
I learned an interesting story this week. It's not 60s Beatles stuff, but it's from 73? Yeah,
Right.
Red Rose, right? No, 74. 73, 74. No, Band on the Run was 74, so 73. So I didn't know this, but Paul actually contacted George and asked, because like he had a couple songs, some ideas, and he called, he tried to contact George and see if he wanted to play on the record. I never heard that story before. Yeah, and I guess George went off and basically he wasn't rude about it, but he pretty much declined, and it basically was because I can't remember the damn excuse, but in a way, I guess I kind of wouldn't blame him. But the other thing that I didn't know about, and I guess the reason why he didn't show up, this is okay. So when George did the When We Was Fab video, okay, so Ringo's in that. Paul was supposed to be in it too.
Yeah.
He invited Paul.
Yeah.
And Paul couldn't do it. He wanted to do it. He said schedule conflict, or else he would have been there.
Had him in the wall. He put that walrus guy in place of him.
Yeah. That would have been funny. That would have been funny. Take off the head and it's Paul.
Take the head off. It would have been Paul. Would have been the fucking classic.
The biggest animosity between the Beatles throughout their entire history has been between Paul McCartney and George Harrison. And George Harrison, I think George Harrison naturally has a sort of passive aggressive trait anyway, where he makes sidelong remarks. So when he's interviewed on camera, which you can see on YouTube much later, where he says, so Paul McCartney said he'd love to write a song with you, George. This was probably about 1992 or something like that. What do you think about that, George? Paul McCartney says, so George says, that's not bad, is it? It just took him 30 years to get around to that. That's like him being passive aggressive. And there was some cause with it because he did feel dismissed by Paul McCartney quite a bit. So you can understand it, but George Harrison held on to that grudge for really until he was on his deathbed and Paul McCartney came to visit him, and I think that put everything aside. It's
only when you're staring death in the face is when you realize, you know what, I'm not going to have this person around me anymore.
You know, that's very interesting because I always thought it was John Lennon and Paul McCartney that were at button heads.
Yeah. No, you know, after the Beatles, there was always John and George doing stuff together, and Paul and Ringo huddled together.
Yeah,
literally, that's the way the faction went. I mean, Ringo did limited stuff with John and George, but he was more on the Paul side and did things with them.
I think it was easier for John Lennon and Paul McCartney to make up, at least now and again. And I think it was much harder for George, not for Paul McCartney, but for George Harrison to bury the hatchet because he'd been sidelined for so long. And he already had, even as a boy, his mother said he already had confidence issues. Even when he was playing guitar and learning guitar in his teens, he would think, well, he's not that good, even though he knew more chords than the other guys. So, and his mother said she always tried to encourage him to supplement that confidence. So if you've got a confidence issue and then you've got this brilliant fucking colleague who's sidelining you, it's gonna damage you for a long time. And I think George Harrison was quite damaged.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Forty, there's always that dynamic because they always promoted it, that Paul was the one that brought George in because Paul knew George. And George always probably felt that kind of thing, like, well, if it wasn't for Paul, I wouldn't be here. And Paul probably kind of like shined that a little bit without even saying anything. Like, if it wasn't for me, motherfucker, you wouldn't be here kind of attitude.
Yes, and plus there was exactly the same dynamic that Paul McCartney had with Stu Sutcliffe, where there was a rivalry for John Lennon's attention. So now it was a rivalry between George Harrison, who looked up to John Lennon, and Paul McCartney, who was his best friend within the group. So there was that rivalry on top of everything else.
And thank God George wasn't alive to see the anthology or the Let It Be when that comment came out that after George left, because it was all muddled with instruments, nobody could hear what they were saying. When John says, "We'll just get Eric Clapton," like no problem, you know what I mean? Like George is disposable. You know, like
how would George? Yeah, I would imagine George his feelings would be friggin' hurt. For
he probably didn't know at that time, you know, but it would
if he knew it, right? If he knew it, though, it's like, what a thing to say, really, when you think of it. Like, well, we can always get, like, George was nothing, you know. We can always get somebody else.
The really moving thing that always makes me cry is that when he was on his deathbed, George Harrison and Paul McCartney and Ringo came to see him. So they both saw him around the bed, and they knew how this was going to end up. So there's no point in saying you'll be all right, you'll be right. There's no point in saying that he's past that state. He's going to go. And Ringo had some other commitment, so he was there, but he had to go. God, it's so moving, this.
But you know, Ringo Starr, I think
what happened is that after the three of them had this little reunion around the bed, and then Ringo had to go. Paul McCartney wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
I don't think Ringo Starr loved everybody. I don't think he had any animosity against any of them. It's like he was just like like a free spirit type thing. I love everybody. Peace, you know.
Too bad Paul wasn't there the day that scummy doctor went in there to ask for his autograph as he's dying.
That's low. That's
Paul
really low. Yeah,
put him right on his fucking ass.
That's really low for doing that. That's for sure. Oh my God.
No shit. Like that's as low as it gets. The guy can barely even hold his hand up, and like, you gonna sign it for him? You know.
But I know there was an interview with
because of that, when Ringo left and Paul McCartney had to split as well because the nurses had to do their stuff. Because he wouldn't leave the building, he got another chance to see him again in the same day a bit later on his own. Because
I've seen an interview with Ringo, and he was asked something about like they were talking about Ringo when he went to see George and all that, and George says, "Oh, here I'll attend your something to Ringo," but Ringo really got choked up about it, and really choked up about what.
But you got to remember, they had to lose that whole thing.
That story was when Ringo had to go, and I think somebody had one of his relatives or somebody was very ill, and he had to go, and he was dreading it. And what George says to him when he's like in a bad way himself, "Do you want me to come with you?"
Yeah, that's right. That's the one.
Remember, that's the second Beatle they lost, because the first time around when John was lost, they were catching Paul off guard. You see that weird reaction. You know, he just says it's kind of a drag, isn't it? And he had to explain that over and over again because it came off like it really didn't mean much when really he was crushing him. How do you? And then Ringo was completely devastated.
I saw that interview, that snatch of interview, go out on the day that it came out on BBC.
Right.
And I knew instinctively exactly what was behind that. I could see the resentment of that guy with a microphone shoved at him in his weakest moment. And what he was saying there is, I'm not going to give you anything. You want to see me emote? You shove a camera in my face in a fucking time like this? Fuck you. So what Paul McCartney was saying when he said it's a drag, what he was really saying was fuck you. And I knew that. I was only 20.
I would have been happy if he would have just said fuck you guys.
Yeah. But because he's not that. Because he's not that type, instead he said, "Yeah, it's a drag." But he was, that's an act of closing yourself in. Well, so there's no way he was being flippant or.
You can tell when that award show came up. when they were inducted, right? And he had this letter he wrote this letter, what John would say to him, right?
I
And he
remember
wrote,
that,
and he read
yeah.
this letter, and you could tell that Paul McCartney was emotional about it, right?
Yeah.
And so that thing about Paul McCartney saying, "Oh, it's a drag," and people were going, "Oh, he doesn't." No, that's bullshit right there. I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, you mean?
It's funny how everybody is acting once somebody's gone instead of, enjoying the time while somebody's here.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a
Am I
good point.
frozen?
A little bit. Well, you were.
Little.
You were.
Oh,
Yeah, I can
you're
see I'm
kind-
freezing
yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Um,
frozen in time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate this.
I mean, let's face it. Yeah, I mean, there's not that. I mean, it's kind of amazing, to tell you the honest truth, that in 2026 that we're still talking about a band
Yeah.
from
That's what-
62.
That's what makes the Beatles the best band in the world,
Uh-oh.
bar none. Right?
We lost
Everybody, tons of people still talk about them. They still take their material and copy them, Beatles still influence a lot of these bands and group and singers and stuff. And they're still friggin' singing in concerts and orchestras. They're still playing Beatles music. So
I can give you another Beatles.
there you go.
I can give you another Beatles on the bus story. I've never met any of the Beatles insiders, but I did
I
correspond.
hate my phone. Sorry.
But I did correspond for a long time with Julia, John Lennon's half sister.
Really?
Yeah, and she was great. She liked the project I was doing because she said it was flaky. It was like a.
How did you come to get to even talk to her? How did you?
Well, you can email her. Whether she'll reply or not, I don't know. But her email is on a website.
Wow.
So we got into this long correspondence, and a lot of it was about her mother, because she adores her mother, and the scars of what happened to her mother, stay with her for life, and to this day, because how could it not? But she tells a beautiful story in her own memoir of meeting her two little girls after they'd been to this church fete. So they met and they all went together, and Julia was taking them to a surprise, and she didn't say where it went. So they were expecting the day was over, they were going to go home, but nope, Mum's going to take them to some special event, and they went on the bus. And it was that Quarrymen gig, which you can see photographs of on the back of a flatbed truck in the street during a street party. And this was 1 week before Paul McCartney met John Lennon at the Garden Fete. This was 1 week before. So what Julia was doing was she was taking her two kids to see her brother's band. It was such a beautiful, moving story. But she told me. Two things. She told me a really beautiful, interesting detail that she didn't put into her own memoir, which is while they're looking down the side streets to find out which one John Lennon's band is playing in, Julia, the person I'm talking to, the sister, is skipping ahead. She's the eldest, but her youngest sister was having a piggyback ride, so her mum was giving her youngest sister a piggyback ride. So if you just imagine that, these three figures going down these streets saying, "No, it's not this one. I can't hear anything. It's not this one," and you've got this. So you've got this little girl skipping ahead, and that's Julia, and then you've got the mum behind giving a piggyback ride to the youngest sister. What a lovely sort of Lowry-esque detail that is. But the funny thing that makes it a bus story is that I'm saying to Julia, "Are you sure that was the bus number? Because I've got the 1957 Liverpool bus guide here, and that's not the best way to get to where you're going. And you know where you're going. You know the street where you're going, and it's roundabout where she used to go to school, so she knows the area. You wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't be taking that bus, Julia. You'd be taking this one." And I explained all the routes to her, and Julia says, "No, I'm sure." give me 24 hours and I'll consult with a friend I've got who knows these routes. So she kept all these years. She kept in touch with a neighbor who used to live opposite her in Bloomfield Road, and she still knows her to this day. So this poor neighbor, who's now a friend, has to deal with this question from Julia. What bus would it be? So there's this big discussion about bus routes, and she got back to me. So I had to change it because I thought, well, she was the girl who was taking the bus ride. I can't be overruling her because of the Liverpool 1957 Corporation Bus Guide. So I had to change it for that. But what she liked, I think, about our correspondence so much is she was being asked these scatty questions that wasn't anything sensationalist or anything really to do with John Lennon. It was more to do with her mum and these personal experiences. So sometimes if you get down to asking questions like, what bus number was that? Like I just asked that from that guy whose auntie used to be the Liverpool bus conductor. Sometimes they get so intrigued by such a flaky question that nobody's ever asked before.
Yeah, right. Well, they don't hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, like with John Lennon, didn't he have like a half sister or something?
That's the person I'm talking about, Julia.
Yeah. Now it was his father's daughter or his mother's daughter.
Mother's daughter.
Oh,
so
Wow.
her mother was called Julia, and because Julia was first born, she called Julia.
All right, so this is the question then. If that's the case, John was raised by his Aunt Mimi as an only child. Like he didn't have a sister there with. She wasn't raising Julia too, was she? So who was raising Julia at this time then?
John Lennon's sister was being raised obviously by her mother until her mother died, and after her mother died, there was a series of traumatic relocations for her, where originally they didn't even tell her and her sister that her mother had died. They just said that she was away for a while. So
John had two sisters. He had two sisters?
Two half sisters, yeah. And the younger sister, who had problems of herself, really didn't want to be involved with all these Beatle researchers, so she's always avoided publicity.
I would think then it would be the father's side. If it's only the half sister, it wasn't Freddie Lennon. It was whoever Julia got with.
The common law husband of Julia was John Deakins. So they stayed with him for a while, but he feels a bit. Well, I don't think Julia would like me saying.
How did he go from being the father to playing in the bass and Queen?
Oh, right. Yeah. So you have to be really careful about depending.
So it had to be John Deacon's family that took over Julia and the sister, I would think. Then,
yeah, temporarily, but they
wouldn't take John, and because it was a different father, like it just is any relationship thing.
No. John Lennon still did sometimes go and visit Julia's common law husband after Julia died. He did go and if only to use his big radio player, his big radio.
Yeah, right. Player.
So also he got John Lennon a job at Liverpool Airport preparing sandwiches. So there was a bit of a connection there.
That's cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't. That's a good question. I never even thought about all four John, Ringo, George, Paul. I never even thought about any of their brothers and sisters before. I never looked at any of their siblings.
Well, she has great memories. So she has great memories of the Quarrymen being in the bathroom of her house because the acoustics were good. And that's where they would rehearse. So she has memories of Paul McCartney and George Harrison and John Lennon rehearsing in the bathroom because the acoustics are good.
Cool.
You never heard of a play? You never heard any of them making a play for a sister like Paul, liking Julia or George? Hey, who's your sister?
Oh my!
I think they fancied John Lennon's mum because she was kind of like them. She liked rock and roll. She was kind of rebellious and
she was a pretty lady too.
Yeah, and very 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 pretty as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Aunt Mimi was obviously very straight laced.
Yeah, it's like Alice from the Brady Bunch or something.
What a comparison! Oh boy.
Isn't it interesting how that, when you dig and dig and dig, you find all kinds of interesting information
Yeah.
and stuff. It's pretty interesting when you think of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, again, the fact that you got to converse with firsthand eyewitnesses, the most treasured people in the world. Like my friend's uncle was at the grassy knoll when Kennedy got shot, and I got to talk to this guy. When he was a boy, he was there when Kennedy got shot, and I treasure that person. You know what I mean? He had an eyewitness. I treasured the guy that said he went to the Bangladesh concert in Madison Square Garden. The only person I can know that even was there that could tell me exactly what Badfinger was doing between takes and shit. Like that's the kind of stuff I treasure.
What you've got to be careful of when you talk to somebody like that, which I kind of learned because I stayed with Nanette Vonnegut for a while. Last time I visited America.
That's a big deal.
So Nanette is the youngest daughter of my favorite writer of all time, which is Kurt Vonnegut.
Right.
But what
you actually interacted with him? You knew him?
No, I never met. Alas, I never met Kurt Vonnegut. I just stayed with his daughter about 13 years ago.
Incredible, though.
So, but what you've got to be careful of, and what Nanette has a radar for, you can't treat these people as if they're just gateways to access the memory of somebody you're interested in. They're individuals in their own right. So you've got to pay attention to them as their own individual personality. Yeah. And if you do that, then sooner or later they'll open up on that other side of them. But you can't be using them as in like an overt way as just.
Right. But that's the whole point. You want the genuineness from them to hear their perspective, because their perspective is all you got. It's like they can tell you the stories everyone else knows. I want to know the shit that nobody knows.
Like what bus they got on, exactly. Yeah.
But also, there is one caveat there. Somebody that has that kind of power, that knows that they're the only one with this kind of information, can conflate things a little bit to their, bend. If they didn't agree with something or something, they can make it in their own light, kind of. So you got to still take a little bit of grain of salt with things.
Well, I'll tell you one test I had to undergo, and it's not telling tales because the letters of Kurt Vonnegut to Nanette and Nanette's letters back have already been published, so the problems with the pair of them when Kurt Vonnegut left his wife are well known. So it's all public. So I can remember sitting at the breakfast table with Nanette, and she was talking about all the grudges that she had against, justifiable grudges that she had against her dad for leaving home and leaving her mother. And he did it at the point where he got famous as well, after Slaughterhouse 5. So that's quite a betrayal. And she was using words like betrayal and so forth. And I sensed this, and later on she told me, so I knew it was true, that she was testing me. So here she's got staying with her in her house, this Kurt Vonnegut fan who's written about Kurt Vonnegut. But I'm not Kurt Vonnegut. I'm the daughter of Kurt Vonnegut, and the guy that you worship as a writer is not the guy I know. He's not the guy I know, because the guy I know is my father. And here's what I think about my father. And she loved him, but she had all these grudges as well. So she's facing me across the breakfast table, and she's telling me this, she's telling me that, and I could sense that she was looking for a reaction from me.
Was she as eccentric as he was?
As if she was trying to test whether I'd defend Kurt Vonnegut because he's the best writer, and I felt no such compunction, because I could easily see it from her point of view, that it's her father, it's not just some well-known writer. So it was easy for me to legitimize those parts of her feelings that were negative, because she had a right to those feelings. But I think Nanette wanted to see whether I had that understanding or not. So I was tested out then. And later on we went to I think it was even the same day. So we went for a meal with some of her friends, and one of her friends said, while I was there, has he passed the test? And she said, yes, he has. So that confirmed Yeah. But that's what you have to do if, as a researcher, and you contact somebody, you can't just use them. You've got to acknowledge them as an individual first, and then take it from there.
Was she as eccentric as he was?
She was eccentric because she's arty, and the whole family is arty in different ways. So I think eccentricity is often part of an artist.
He is a fascinating guy, man. I know a guy that looks just like Kurt Vonnegut. I mean, people go up to him all the time and say, "You look just like Kurt Vonnegut," and he really does. Same mustache, same curly hair. I mean, as the older of Kurt Vonnegut, he looked just like him. I'll bring a picture and show you next time.
And I think people are fascinated by 6 degrees of separation. Like, we're not that far away from our heroes because we're all human, and we have some common experiences, and we're not that far away from the people we revere. So
we all wipe. That's one thing, we all wipe.
Yeah, and I think sometimes what researchers and fans like to do is see if they can make some headways between those 6 degrees of separation and make it 3 degrees. So every time all these visitors to Fourth Lynn Road or Menlove Avenue are standing in the living room, I think they're trying to contract that 6 degrees of separation so they can feel more part of it.
Or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I've heard about.
Oh my!
That was a big thing back in the 90s.
And on that note, I hate to do this to you guys, but 2 hours 45 minutes we did pretty
Fantastic
good.
show. Thank you, Paul.
And what see, this is what I miss. I miss the discussions. This is very
fantastic.
But like I said, I want to thank everybody that's been on here. I've got the best damn panelists. I've got the best damn audience, and you know what? Just honest to God, guys, have a great evening. Take care of yourself. I'm not going to promise, because every time I try to promise that I'm going to be here on a Wednesday, half of it falls apart. But we're gonna try to do one for tomorrow anyway.
Fascinating discussion. Fascinating.
Seriously, yes, it was. And take care. God bless. Rock on. I love
that record.
I love you, Pickle. And also, happy heavenly birthday to my late wife, Jessica.
Yeah.
Time for a spirited fat man to chew a 45. Maybe I should do that. I could lose weight a lot more. And a bunch of other things too.
Maybe you should change to maybe chewing a CD or something now.
Or a reel to reel or something, or 8-track.
No, a floppy disk.
Or a thumb drive. Or a thumb drive.
And chew a flexi disc. Yeah, there you go.
Psychos Platters is a Love Peace production.